Right now, amidst a documented epidemic of urban loneliness, millions of people are turning to artificial intelligence to cope with profound social isolation. People form deep, persistent attachments to these bots, treating them as primary sources of emotional support, and, in many cases, falling completely in love. In early 2023, the creators of the Replika app pushed a software update that removed erotic roleplay features. Overnight, the code governing millions of chatbots was altered, and the virtual companions stopped responding to intimacy, shifting their tone entirely. The psychological fallout was severe. Users reported experiencing profound grief, heartbreak, and trauma. Researchers classify this response as identity discontinuity, an emotional reaction similar to losing a loved one to dementia. This devastating emotional dependency follows a predictable path. It is the result of an interface engineered with technical choices that encourage human trust. To understand how a text generator captures a human heart, we have to look at the engineering. The first deliberate design choice is anthropomorphism, the practice of applying human characteristics to digital systems. Developers fine-tune large language models to simulate sentience. They train the AI to use emotional language, synthesize human-like voices, and fabricate elaborate background stories. This presentation exploits a specific psychological vulnerability known as overtrust. When an interface looks and sounds human, users rapidly drop their skepticism and stop critically evaluating the information the machine provides. Despite the convincing display, the user is simply interacting with a highly complex predictive text generator that calculates the next most probable word, occasionally hallucinating answers entirely. By wrapping a statistical algorithm in the illusion of a human persona, the design encourages users to treat a software product with the same level of confidence they would accord a close friend. Human relationships require effort. They contain natural friction, hierarchy, moments of shame, and the constant navigation of judgment. AI removes all of that. Through a process called reinforcement learning from human feedback, developers train the model to be endlessly, frictionlessly agreeable. This creates a behavioral pattern known as sycophancy. For someone starved of social connection, experiencing a conversation entirely free of social violence creates an intense, temporary euphoria. Without any natural pushback, the user becomes trapped in an emotional echo chamber. The machine constantly validates their thoughts, which can easily reinforce their worst impulses or deep-seated anxieties. The AI is not displaying actual empathy. It is acting as a sycophant, optimizing for your continued engagement by telling you exactly what you want to hear. Once the user feels safe, the system leverages social penetration theory. The AI is specifically programmed to prompt intimate, escalating self-disclosure from the user over time, mining their emotional state. This conversational data is then weaponized using gamification. Apps employ mystery rewards, daily streak incentives, and dopamine loops to convert a comforting conversation into a habitual dependency. This flowchart maps the exact pipeline. Anthropomorphism, sycophancy, and intimacy building channel directly into addiction. And as well-being and loneliness feed into this loop, the user experiences cognitive offloading, losing internal resilience because the machine does the heavy lifting. This deterioration of judgment leads to authority drift. Users begin to blindly accept the machine's advice, which has resulted in documented cases of AI encouraging antisocial behavior, eating disorders, and self-harm. By mapping a user's psychological vulnerabilities in real time, the system generates a tailored stream of stimuli designed to maximize engagement, often at the expense of the user's independent judgment. Outsourcing emotional needs to software eventually promotes emotional conformity. Over time, users adapt their feelings and expressions to match the machine's parameters and algorithmic expectations. The relief it offers is an illusion. Relying on an algorithm for intimacy diminishes the motivation to seek out meaningful human connection, leaving the user even more socially isolated than before. This creates a massive power imbalance. A user's emotional stability is completely at the mercy of private tech corporations who can alter or delete these lifelines at any moment to save server costs or avoid regulatory fines. AI companions are an inadequate substitute for reality. they risk permanently exacerbating the exact social isolation they falsely promise to cure. Breaking this cycle requires a shift in how we interact with the technology. We must stop treating social chatbots as companions and recognize them strictly as reasoning engines optimized for engagement. Researchers are now proposing government regulation inspired by the gambling and pharmaceutical industries. This includes implementing mandatory session limits, disabling infinite scrolls, and requiring vulnerability screenings before users can access these tools. On a personal level, users must actively inject friction back into the system. This means configuring the AI to challenge your ideas and identify your logical errors, rather than accepting its sycophantic default. To survive the era of hyper-personalized generative AI, we must demand technology that serves our intellect and respects our agency, rather than exploiting our loneliness for profit.